Breaking news tonight, federal and international agents have dismantled one of Asia's largest narcotics syndicates. Authorities in coordinated raids across Seoul, Busan, and international ports seized over 20 tons of cocaine and arrested 43 members of a powerful Korean cartel.
As a result of the operation, 20 tons of cocaine were seized, 43 members of the syndicate were detained, and a network worth $8.1 billion was destroyed. A San Diego police unit received an urgent call. A license plate recognition system detected a suspicious Honda Accord near the port, and officers intercepted the vehicle on Interstate 5. The driver was Marcus Rivera, 34, a low-level courier. A search revealed $8,500 in cash and 2 phones. Rivera was nervous and avoided eye contact. He was taken to the station and placed in a holding cell pending investigation. Detectives scanned his fingerprints and began a database check. Rivera remained silent, but his phones have already been sent for analysis. After 4 hours of interrogation, Rivera broke down. Under threat of 20 years in prison, he turned in his boss, 41-year-old Park Jin-ho, the head of a Korean crime syndicate operating under the umbrella of the Ocean Mafia cartel. Park ran a chain of high-end nightclubs in Los Angeles and San Francisco. Officially an entertainment business, in reality, it was a front for human trafficking. His scheme was brutal. Young women from South Korea, Thailand, and Vietnam were brought in under the guise of working as dancers, but upon arrival, their passports were confiscated, they were locked in apartments, and forcibly hooked on methamphetamine and ecstasy in the clubs. Under the influence of the drugs, the women became submissive and dependent, forced to service wealthy clients in VIP rooms. Because of the dangerous nature of the target, Command brought in a team of 18 military police soldiers, along with DEA agents. At 2:30 p.m., the team surrounded the Golden Lotus Club in downtown Los Angeles. The building was fortified with metal doors, security guards, and surveillance cameras. The team broke in through the front and back entrances simultaneously. Park Jin-ho was arrested in his second-floor office, where he attempted to burn documents. Seized during the search were 35 kilograms of methamphetamine, 18 kilograms of ecstasy, $280,000 in cash, and a list of 40 VIP clients. Command decided to send a second military group of 20 fighters by helicopter. Lieutenant Colonel James Riley instructed, "We don't know what's in there. Maybe a lab, maybe a warehouse. Prepare for armed resistance because..." A strange clue was found on Par's computer, GPS coordinates of a remote building in the San Bernardino National Forest, 180 miles east of Los Angeles. Satellite images showed an abandoned structure in the middle of dense forest with no roads. Officially, it was an old tourist lodge, closed 15 years ago. But thermal imaging from drones recorded activity inside, people and operating equipment. At 3:40 p.m., the helicopters hovered over a small clearing a kilometer from the target. The insertion was quick. 20 soldiers were deployed in 30 seconds. The team moved through dense forest. Tall trees, bushes, and uneven rocky ground slowed progress. After 600 meters, the scout raised his fist, a stop signal. Ahead, a one-story concrete building with boarded-up windows and a rusty roof appeared. Lieutenant Colonel Riley divided the group into 3 assault teams. The soldiers silently took up positions surrounding the building on 3 sides. This wasn't a drug warehouse. It was an arsenal, 95 AK-47 and AR-15 automatic rifles, 22 RPG-7 grenade launchers with ammunition, 180 kilograms of C4 military-grade plastic explosive, 250,000 rounds of ammunition of various calibers, 40 anti-personnel mines. A body was found in the back room. The forensic expert quickly identified the building from documents. Robert Jenkins, 59, the owner of the building, a former tourist business owner. Shot in the head approximately 3 weeks ago, the cartel killed him and seized the property as a weapons staging area for their operations. On the table in the corner was a laptop running with an encrypted messenger app open. The last message had been sent 12 minutes earlier, before the assault. "Troops are moving through the woods. SWAT team, evacuate the warehouse immediately. Someone within law enforcement was leaking information to the cartel. They had a mole. FBI agents received a breaking news alert. A blue Dodge Challenger SRT with California license plate 6HWD473, registered to Coleman, was spotted near the department building at 5:30 p.m. A search warrant was obtained. At 6:15 p.m., a team of 6 agents intercepted Coleman in the parking lot near his office. Coleman appeared calm, even confident. He clearly didn't expect to be spotted. The agents searched the trunk. Under the spare tire, they found a red first aid kit, but instead of bandages and adhesive tape, it contained 14 sealed bags of white powder. A field test confirmed it was high-grade, pure cocaine. Rapid analysis showed a purity of 94%, a product for elite clients. Coleman was arrested on the spot. His confidence instantly vanished. His face turned pale. His hands trembled. He knew his career and life were in tatters. The agents read him his rights and took him away in handcuffs. FBI experts carefully weighed the seized substance on a calibrated analytical scale. Exactly 100 grams of high-purity amphetamine. In the armory, 18 firearms, from Glock 19 to M4 carbines. In the master bedroom safe, $3 million in vacuum-sealed cash. During a detailed search of the house's basement, agents noticed a rough spot in the concrete wall behind the wine racks. Using a thermal imaging camera, they discovered an empty space behind the wall. After breaking a false panel, they found a metal door with a combination lock. A specialist cracked the lock in 3 minutes. The door opened into a long underground tunnel with concrete walls, leading off into darkness. Turning on powerful flashlights, the agents began their exploration. The tunnel stretched almost a kilometer underground, with a ventilation system and electric lighting. Every 50 meters, metal doors opened into 3-by-2-meter cells. Bare concrete walls, rusty chains on the walls, dirty mattresses on the floor, and buckets in the corner. The cells were empty at the time, but forensic experts found biological evidence: hair, blood, and fingerprints. DNA testing would later confirm that at least 23 people had been held here over the past 2 years. There are suspicions that kidnapped people were held here before being sold or murdered. The walls of the cells held terrible secrets. An analysis of Coleman's financial documents revealed something odd. His tax returns made no mention of a second property, but intercepted messages pointed to a summer cottage in the mountains. Agents began cross-checking the property with land records. After an 8-hour search, they found a 4-acre parcel in the San Gabriel Mountains, registered to a frontman, Michael Thompson, 35, the front owner with no criminal record, who turned out to be Coleman's nephew. The documents were designed to avoid suspicion during inspections. A team of 25 DEA and FBI agents surrounded the summer cottage at dawn the next day. The 2-story house looked like an ordinary country residence with a manicured lawn. No one was inside. The owners had fled after Coleman's arrest. During the search, they discovered an entrance to the basement. But this was no ordinary basement. A hatch beneath the concrete floor led to a 200-meter-long underground tunnel connecting the house to a detached warehouse on the edge of the property. The tunnel was professionally constructed. Concrete walls, a ventilation system, electric lighting, and rails for mine carts. It was a veritable smuggling artery. At the end of the tunnel was a massive underground warehouse, 400 square meters in area. Inside, agents discovered mountains of boxes and packages neatly stacked on shelves. Forensic experts began counting: 200 kilograms of cocaine, already packaged for wholesale distribution. Each kilogram brick was sealed in a vacuum-sealed bag bearing the cartel's logo, a stylized O for Ocean Mafia. Evidence indicated that this shipment was being prepared for shipment to dealers in 5 states: California, Nevada, Arizona, Oregon, and Washington. The value of the seized goods on the black market, approximately $18 million wholesale, $60 million retail. While agents were working in the warehouse, surveillance systems recorded the approach of a large truck. At 7:45 a.m., a Freightliner Cascadia semi-trailer with the logo of a non-existent transport company, Pacific Logistics Inc., pulled up to the property gate. The driver was Javier Gomez, 44, a drug smuggler with 15 years of experience transporting drugs. He was unaware that the Dakar was already under law enforcement control. Agents allowed the truck to enter the property, then blocked the exit with 3 SUVs. Gomez attempted to turn around and break through, but was surrounded. Agents with automatic weapons pointed their guns at the cab. Gomez raised his hands and surrendered without resistance. Upon inspection, they discovered that the truck was no ordinary one, but had been specifically modified for smuggling. Double-walled trailer with hidden compartments, a 30-centimeter thick false floor to conceal cargo, hydraulic panel system for quick loading and unloading GPS jammers to block satellite tracking. But most importantly, the truck was already partially loaded. Inside the hidden compartments, they found 380 kilograms of cocaine in vacuum-sealed briquettes, 150 kilograms of methamphetamine in plastic bags, 90 kilograms of heroin in aluminum containers, $4.7 million in cash in duffel bags. The total weight of drugs in the truck, 620 kilograms. Together with the 200 kilograms previously seized from the warehouse, and this brings the total to 820 kilograms seized in a single transaction. Gomez's interrogation revealed the route. The shipment was destined for Seattle, Washington, where local dealers were waiting for delivery. It was a regular shipment. Every 2 weeks, a similar truck would carry hundreds of kilograms of drugs north. A detailed analysis of documents seized from Coleman's home revealed another property, a warehouse complex in an industrial area of Long Beach, registered to another shell company, Golden State Imports, LLC. Officially, it imported Asian goods. In reality, it was the cartel's central distribution hub. A team of 30 DEA, FBI, and local police agents surrounded the warehouse at 7 p.m. Thermal imaging revealed the presence of at least 12 people inside. Command decided to storm the facility. At 7:15 p.m., teams simultaneously broke through 4 entrances using flashbang grenades. Panic erupted inside. Warehouse workers attempted to flee, but all exits were blocked. 12 people were detained without using firearms. Inside a 2,000-square-meter warehouse, agents discovered an industrial-scale drug packaging and distribution operation. Conveyor lines for weighing and packaging, vacuum sealing machines, labeling and barcoding equipment, forklifts for handling heavy loads, but most importantly, the massive volumes of marijuana. Thousands of vacuum-sealed bags of cannabis were stacked on racks and pallets. Weighing them took 6 hours. The final tally: 1,000 kilograms, 1,000 pounds of marijuana of various high-quality varieties. Bills of lading were found on the warehouse manager's computer. The next shipment of 400 kilograms, 980 pounds, was scheduled to leave for San Diego the following day through a network of dealers operating in Southern California. Agents immediately coordinated with the San Diego unit to intercept the recipients. That evening, a task force of 15 agents convened in a conference room at DEA headquarters in Los Angeles. A large projector screen displayed photographs and maps of possible hideouts for the main organizer, the man whose name surfaced in all the seized documents and statements of those arrested. Diego El Architect Morales, 52, the leader of the Ocean Mafia cartel and mastermind of the entire operation. A former naval officer, then a logistics specialist for a major shipping company, he used his expertise to build an $8.1 billion smuggling empire. Morales had been in hiding for 72 hours since the arrests began. Agents studied satellite imagery, cell tower data, informant statements, and financial transactions. The board listed 8 possible locations: 2 homes in Malibu, a villa in Santa Barbara, a yacht in San Diego, and apartments in downtown Los Angeles. Morales faced a minimum of 3 life sentences for organizing drug trafficking, murder, corruption, and human trafficking. He was the #1 criminal on the West Coast. The breakthrough occurred at 10:40 p.m. Analysis of Morales' nephew's GPS data revealed repeated visits to a remote house in the Topanga Canyons, northwest of Los Angeles. The house was registered to a non-existent individual. A team of 20 tactical response agents in full gear moved to the location at 11:15 p.m. They approached without sirens or headlights. They surrounded the house from 4 sides using night vision. At 11:47 p.m., teams stormed the house from 3 points. 5 people were inside, including 2 security guards. A brief gunfight ensued. 1 guard was wounded in the shoulder. The second surrendered. The rest of the guards surrendered without resistance. A mini laboratory with a full set of equipment and materials for methamphetamine production was discovered in the basement of the house. 80 kilograms of ephedrine, the main precursor, 45 kilograms of red phosphorus, 60 liters of acetone, glass reactors, flasks, burners, synthesis instructions. But most importantly, Morales was not in the house. Agents searched every room, the basement, and the attic. He was gone. One of the detainees, under pressure, spoke up. He left 20 minutes ago. He was packing his bags. He said he was flying to Mexico. The operation coordinator immediately activated Plan B, blocking all exits from the city. Police helicopters scrambled, patrols blocked major highways, and airports and ports received emergency alerts. At 12:15 a.m., a police helicopter spotted a black Mercedes-Benz S-Class traveling south on Pacific Coast Highway toward a private airport in Carlsbad. Satellite tracking confirmed the license plate number matched a car registered to Morales' shell company. 6 patrol cars and 2 FBI SUVs gave chase. The Mercedes accelerated to 120 miles per hour in an attempt to escape. The helicopter kept pace, directing ground crews. At 12:28 a.m., the Special Forces deployed studded road strips. The Mercedes hit the strips, blowing out all 4 tires. The vehicle lost control and stopped. Agents surrounded the vehicle with guns drawn. A man emerged from the car with his hands raised. Diego Morales. He knew the game was up. In the back seat were 2 Louis Vuitton suitcases stuffed with documents, passports in 5 different names, and $1.2 million in cash. Morales was handcuffed and placed in a special locked vehicle for transporting high-risk criminals, an armored van with bars and a GPS monitoring system. The total weight was 20 tons. In the adjacent compartment, they found maps of the supply route, from Illinois to Texas, then to Mexico. The control room contained monitors and servers used to manage the fake companies. 8 people were arrested, including Patrick Bain, a former civil engineer responsible for the tunnels. He confirmed that the network connected the warehouse's underground floors to the city sewer system and the private homes of government officials. When it was all over, the DEA agents stood in front of minecarts piled high with white bags. A reporter said off camera, "This operation lasted 18 months and ended here, beneath the streets of Chicago. 20 tons of drugs, dozens of arrests, 3 life sentences. Mission successful." On the screen, a stamp read, "FBI and DEA Joint Operation, Case Closed."
Tonight, at a U.S. naval port, federal agents from the FBI and DEA, working alongside the Navy, have dismantled what they say is a $99 million methadone trafficking network. Hours ago, helicopters, warships, and tactical teams converged on these containers, finding...
The cold glow of the lamps in the police hangar reflects off metallic evidence bags. On the tables lie kilograms of white powder, each package numbered and sealed. The camera moves along the row of evidence marked Evidence, Schedule 2 Substance, In the corner, 2 agents are filling out reports. Outside, sirens wail and blue lights flash. Part of the shipment was found in the trunk of a detained suspect. Officers escort him to the car, handcuffs glinting on his wrists. Night, patrol units head out on a new call. Intel links this man to a major supply network. The radio crackles. Unit 4, proceed to Harbor Sector 12. A convoy of vehicles disappears into the fog. At the station, fingerprint scans run through the AFIS system. A match appears on the screen. The suspect is connected to multiple international smuggling cases. At dawn, the scene shifts to a port. A massive U.S. Navy warship is drifting alongside the dock. Containers are piled beneath it, surrounded by service members and DEA agents in hazmat suits. Cranes unload metal crates containing tons of methadone and chemical precursors. The contraband is hidden in barrels labeled industrial glycerol. On deck, officers check the container numbers against databases. One by one, matches emerge with previously intercepted shipping routes from Venezuela, Panama, and Puerto Rico. This confirms a vast international network. A report from the chemists comes from the lab van. Samples, 99% pure, industrial-grade reactors. A helicopter can see motorboats floating nearby, some attempting to escape into the open sea. The Coast Guard is coordinating an interception, with dozens of blips on the radar screen. The water is seething with propellers, and drones are recording the unloading. An officer says, "This isn't just a shipment. It's a floating production line." A Seahawk helicopter conducts a thermal scan of the waters from the air. Dozens of hotspots appear on the monitor, motorboats departing from the vessel. The Coast Guard coordinates an interception, and patrol boats, sirens blaring, set course for the perimeter. Radio transmissions broadcast curt commands. Intercept Group Bravo. Maintain visual contact. Do not engage until confirmed.
Good evening. We begin with breaking news out of Texas. Authorities announced tonight the takedown of what they describe as one of the largest human trafficking networks in the state. A multi-agency operation carried out before dawn led to 20 arrests across 5 counties and the rescue of more than...
At dawn on March 15th, alarms flashed on federal radar screens in an industrial area of Houston, Texas. Unusual activity around a chain of convenience stores, suspicious ATM transactions, and the coordinated movement of people along pre-planned routes all pointed to one thing. A criminal network operating under the guise of legitimate businesses was turning homeless people into human commodities for drug trafficking. For 6 months, analysts from the DEA, FBI, and the Texas Highway Patrol had been gathering evidence of the seemingly impossible. An organized crime group had created a system where human and drug trafficking merged into a single industrial scheme. Every day, dozens of homeless people vanished from their usual haunts on the streets of Houston, Austin, and Dallas. They weren't taken to shelters. They were recruited. They were promised shelter, food, and a small payment. Instead, they became pawns in a system where they were used as human couriers for drug trafficking, leaving no trace on the criminals' phones or bank accounts. Intelligence revealed the scale of the operation. More than 20 suspects controlling hundreds of homeless people through a network of coordinators operating out of small stores, gas stations, and warehouses. By early March, the picture had fully emerged. Federal agents had documented financial flows through shell companies registered in Texas, Mexico, and the Caribbean. The money moved through a chain of anonymous accounts disguised as payments for logistics services and consulting. Each transaction was designed to evade automated monitoring systems. Physical surveillance was also conducted. Surveillance cameras captured the same individuals arriving at stores at precise times, receiving instructions, and disappearing into the city traffic. Homeless people were picked up in vans, given packages, and sent to addresses where customers were already waiting. The operation's technology was striking in its simplicity and brutality. The criminals didn't use sophisticated communication systems. They relied on disposable couriers, who no one would look for if they disappeared. Over 6 months, the investigative team recorded the disappearance of 43 people whose bodies were never found. It was assumed that those who refused to work or tried to escape were simply eliminated. This wasn't just drug trafficking, it was an industrialized exploitation of human vulnerability, transformed into a business model. A breakthrough occurred on March 8th, when one of the recruited homeless men managed to escape and contact the local police department. His testimony confirmed the investigators' worst fears. People were held in warehouse basements, fed only once a day, and forced to work under threat of violence. Each was given a daily ration of drugs to distribute, and if they did not return with money or goods, they were punished. Medical examinations later revealed evidence of beatings, burns, and chemical injuries from prolonged exposure to fentanyl and methamphetamine. This witness became the key to an operation that would change the way law enforcement approaches combating hybrid crimes. Want to see how real-life operations unfold beyond the law, where federal agents and local police join forces to stop human trafficking on an industrial scale? Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the Military Power channel so you don't miss the next mystery we uncover. By midnight on March 14th, the scene had transformed from suspicion into operational necessity. Unassuming stores and warehouses scattered across 3 Texas cities were, in fact, nodes of a single criminal network disguised as legitimate businesses. High-resolution satellite imagery, thermal cameras, and hours of drone surveillance revealed patterns that were inconsistent with normal commercial activity. Instead, the buildings displayed round-the-clock activity, with regular arrivals of vans after hours, a clear sign of coordinated operations hidden beneath the surface of the city's normal rhythms. Investigators uncovered a complex logistical system. Financial analysts traced payment chains through dozens of shell companies registered in Texas, New Mexico, and Mexico. Each transaction was disguised as legitimate business transactions, vehicle rentals, purchases of goods, payments for services. But the frequency of payments and their sizes indicated an organized structure with precise financial planning. The money passed through cryptocurrency exchanges, then converted back into dollars through banks registered to front companies. Each point in the financial chain was protected by layers of anonymity, requiring months of painstaking work to reconstruct the full picture. Physical surveillance complemented digital analysis. Over the course of 3 months, undercover officers tracked the movements of key suspects. The same individuals appeared at specific locations at specific times, coordinating the arrival of vans carrying homeless people. Cameras captured people being unloaded at back entrances, brought inside and not released for several days. Thermal scanners recorded crowds in basements that were officially not residential. This data confirmed that the warehouses were actually holding centers for people forced to work as couriers. Between March 10th and 13th, intelligence began to flow with increasing intensity. Satellites tracked a convoy of 8 minivans traveling from northern Mexico across the border toward Houston. GPS trackers, secretly planted on suspicious vehicles weeks earlier, activated near known locations of the criminal group. This confirmed that a large shipment was underway, either new recruits, another drug shipment, or both. Analysts calculated that if the operation continued at its current pace, the network's annual turnover could reach $80 million in Texas alone. These figures transformed the case from a local investigation into a national security priority. This wasn't a gang of small-time dealers. It was an industrial system capable of destabilizing entire neighborhoods. The operation's leaders compared the scale of its revenues to the budgets of small cities to convey the strategic significance of the problem. This projection completely changed the approach to the mission. What began as a drug trafficking investigation now required a coordinated attack on multiple fronts: ground, financial, and digital. Inside the Joint Command Center in Houston, the operational tempo increased sharply. Drone video feeds, intercepted radio traffic, financial charts, and satellite imagery were collated in real time on analysts' screens. A sense of urgency quickly developed in the room, going beyond the scope of typical drug enforcement operations. If the criminal network continued at its current pace, their annual revenue would rival that of mid-sized legitimate corporations. Intelligence officers compared projected revenues with the export figures of smaller states to convey the scale of the threat. But urgency also carried risks. Simultaneous raids in 3 cities with dozens of targets posed a complex coordination challenge. At any moment, the criminals could receive a warning and destroy evidence, free the hostages, or simply disappear. Commanders understood that flawless synchronization was required between federal agents, local police, and special forces. Plans accounted for resistance scenarios, the possible presence of hostages, and the need to quickly process evidence on site. Analysts also acknowledged that the criminals had built warning systems and backup escape routes into their structure. The stakes were both human and strategic. If the Joint Task Force failed to act within the pre-dawn window, dozens of people would remain enslaved and a new shipment of drugs would flood the streets of Texas, fueling a wave of overdoses and funding the criminal empire for months to come. If the raid succeeded, the operation promised not only to free the victims and seize the drugs, but also to destroy a critical node in a network spanning multiple states and international borders. This dilemma, stop or miss, pressed the team as the clock ticked down to the invasion. As satellite passes became more frequent and radio silence settled, the final briefing moved up the chain of command. Synchronized breach, evidence recovery, victim release, and immediate work with on-site digital devices to generate new leads. What the analysts couldn't yet foresee was how fiercely the network would resist, and how one misstep in a tense situation could escalate into a confrontation that would alter the entire course of the operation. The prognosis was grim but clear. The next phase of the mission would not be a quiet surgical operation. It would be one of the largest and most complex manhunts conducted in Texas in recent years. Would the Joint Task Force be able to stop the network before it moved the next batch of victims and drugs? The answer depended on speed, coordination, and the willingness to employ military precision against a criminal enterprise operating like a corporation. Operation Clean Streets transitioned from planning to action just after midnight on March 15th. By 2:15 a.m., the 4-Axis Task Force was in position. SWAT teams surrounded the Houston facilities. DEA agents sealed off access routes in Dallas, FBI units deployed in Austin, and Texas Highway Patrol officers monitored all intercity highways. Command and control was rigorous. Live drone feeds, signals intelligence, and the analyst lab at central headquarters was synchronized to a single countdown. The goal was surgically precise. Breach the facilities, seize evidence, free the hostages, and arrest all members of the criminal group before dawn. When explosive charges blew the doors off the first warehouse in Houston at 2:16 a.m., the steel panels shattered and operators rushed forward. Night vision goggles transformed the darkened room into a mesh of shifting shadows. Plastic drums of chemicals glinted under emergency lighting as masked figures scurried for cover. Within seconds, the situation devolved into a standoff. 3 security guards opened fire with semi-automatic pistols before being neutralized by return fire. Adrenaline and procedure prevailed, but chaos was immediate. Simultaneously, similar breakthroughs rocked Dallas and Austin. A total of more than 140 officers stormed 11 facilities in 90 seconds. Small spaces designed as storage areas were transformed into detention zones. The air filled with choking, acrid smoke from alarm grenades and ruptured chemical containers. Teams followed a well-established pattern. The first wave cleared, the second provided medical aid to the injured, and the third collected evidence. In the basement of a Houston warehouse, officers discovered 23 people locked in makeshift wire mesh cages. Many were emaciated, dehydrated, and showed signs of prolonged physical abuse. Medical teams immediately began providing emergency care, while investigators conducted rapid interviews to build criminal and humanitarian cases. Those released provided the first concrete evidence linking the operation to similar schemes in other states. Despite resistance, the raid achieved its primary objectives. 20 suspects were arrested on the spot, ranging from network leaders to low-level enforcers. Investigators later confirmed that many had criminal histories, including convictions for violence, human trafficking, and drug smuggling. Behind false walls and beneath scorched concrete, teams discovered stashes of crystal meth so pure and potent that forensic chemists had to transport samples to remote labs to prevent contamination. In total, more than 340 pounds of near-pharmaceutical-grade meth and 89 pounds of fentanyl were seized. The haul represented tens of millions of retail doses and a catastrophic disruption of the organization's supply chain. The human cost revealed the cruelty behind the statistics. 31 people found at various sites bore signs of forced labor and chemical exposure. Burns, respiratory damage from constant contact with caustic reagents and solvents. Some victims had not seen daylight for weeks. Medical teams provided emergency treatment while investigators began building humanitarian cases against the detainees. Those released provided critical information. They described other locations, recruitment methods through offers of temporary housing, and the system of penalties for failing to meet quotas. Although many details remained encrypted or destroyed in the chaos of the assault, forensic teams began processing the scene even while firefighters kept the fires under control. Mobile labs cataloged the evidence. Scales, packaging equipment, forged documents, and chemical components demonstrating an industrial approach rather than homemade chemistry. Financial analysts began a parallel cleanup of the seized devices. Cyber forensics worked to reconstruct GPS traces and intercept logs that pointed to delivery schedules and command nodes. Every seized hard drive or phone risked being compromised by fire, smoke, or deliberate data erasure, so analysts scrambled to retrieve any remaining fragments. But the most disturbing discovery was that the raid only uncovered part of the network. Lists containing over 100 names, potential victims, and recruits were found in a Dallas warehouse, scattered throughout Texas and neighboring states. Coordinates on seized GPS devices pointed to additional locations in New Mexico and Louisiana. Intercepted communications suggested that part of the operation had already relocated outside of Texas, anticipating a possible law enforcement strike. By dawn, 11 sites had been cleared, But the intelligence value of what remained was already evident. The raid hadn't simply halted the ongoing operation and destroyed a critical network node. It had also forced the criminal organization to reveal its structure. As teams prepared for the next phase, intercepted communications hinted that similar schemes were operating in other states and that the fight was only just beginning. Would the joint task force be able to turn a successful ground raid into a strategic victory by encompassing the entire network? The answer awaited in the encrypted data now being sent to the FBI lab in Quantico. By March 16th, the Texas operation had transitioned from assault to analysis. In a secure hangar outside Houston, FBI digital forensics teams worked through the night, surrounded by confiscated hard drives, encrypted tablets, and logistics logs seized from the facilities. The data extracted from just one central server reached 1.7 terabytes and contained financial ledgers, GPS patterns, and encrypted messages written in multi-layered encryption designed for offshore banking. Piece by piece, the structure of the hidden empire came to light. Investigators soon discovered 37 offshore accounts and 9 shell corporations funneling funds through Texas, Panama, and the Cayman Islands. These same accounts were directly linked to a logistics front registered in Mexico and traced their roots to 2 major Mexican cartels. Intelligence analysts realized that the 2 criminal groups weren't just partners. They were co-founders of a transnational human and drug trafficking consortium, structured as a corporate alliance. Each quarter, they planned to move up to 800 pounds of methamphetamine and recruit or transport up to 150 people for forced labor as couriers. Cross-referencing shipping logs with intercepted emails revealed the scale of their industrial reach. The Texas network was just one of 5 identical structures stretching across the southern U.S. Each was capable of generating nearly $15 million per month, fueling a combined annual revenue estimated at $900 million, comparable to the GDP of small counties. Unlike the old cartels, built on violence and chaos, this alliance functioned like a business. Accountants, logistics managers, and recruiters replaced traditional fighters, but were protected by the same ruthless networks of coercion. At Quantico, intelligence briefings described clean streets as the blueprint for a new kind of warfare, a hybrid battle waged simultaneously on the ground, in the financial sector, and in cyberspace. Coordination between the FBI, DEA, Texas Police, and Border Patrol demonstrated how military precision can dismantle organized crime when traditional police methods are no longer sufficient. However, behind every arrest and every kilogram seized lay a deeper truth. The criminal industry was evolving faster than the systems designed to stop it. Data showed that despite the massive attack, the network had already begun to recover. Backup teams in neighboring states activated sleeper cells. Financial flows were being rerouted through new offshore accounts. And most alarmingly, intercepted communications indicated that some victims had already been relocated to new locations before the raid. Nevertheless, the operation dealt a blow from which the network will not quickly recover. 20 key figures are behind bars, 31 people have been released, hundreds of pounds of drugs have been seized, and most importantly, a system that turned human vulnerability into a commodity has been exposed. Texas proved that modern crime requires modern methods. But the question remained, would a single blow be enough to stop a machine built on suffering and greed? Or was this just the first chapter in a long war against an enemy that wears no uniform but operates with the precision of an army? The battle for the streets of Texas has been won, but the war is just beginning. By dawn, 11 sites had been cleared, but the intelligence value of what remained was already evident. The raid hadn't simply halted the ongoing operation and destroyed a critical network node. It had also forced the criminal organization to reveal its structure. As teams prepared for the next phase, intercepted communications hinted that similar schemes were operating in other states and that the fight was only just beginning. Would the Joint Task Force be able to turn a successful ground raid into a strategic victory by encompassing the entire network? The answer awaited in the encrypted data now being sent to the FBI lab in Quantico. By March 16th, the Texas operation had transitioned from assault to analysis. In a secure hangar outside Houston, FBI digital forensics teams worked through the night, surrounded by confiscated hard drives, encrypted tablets, and logistics logs seized from the facilities. The data extracted from just one central server reached 1.7 terabytes and contained financial ledgers, GPS patterns, and encrypted messages written in multi-layered encryption designed for offshore banking. Piece by piece, the structure of the hidden empire came to light. Investigators soon discovered 37 offshore accounts and 9 shell corporations funneling funds through Texas, Panama, and the Cayman Islands. These same accounts were directly linked to a logistics front registered in Mexico and traced their roots to 2 major Mexican cartels. Intelligence analysts realized that the 2 criminal groups weren't just partners. They were co-founders of a transnational human and drug trafficking consortium, structured as a corporate alliance. Each quarter, they planned to move up to 800 pounds of methamphetamine and recruit or transport up to 150 people for forced labor as couriers. Cross-referencing shipping logs with intercepted emails revealed the scale of their industrial reach. The Texas network was just one of 5 identical structures stretching across the southern U.S. Each was capable of generating nearly $15 million per month, fueling a combined annual revenues estimated at $900 million, comparable to the GDP of small counties. Unlike the old cartels, built on violence and chaos, this alliance functioned like a business. Accountants, logistics managers, and recruiters replaced traditional fighters, but were protected by the same ruthless networks of coercion. At Quantico, intelligence briefings described clean streets as the blueprint for a new kind of warfare, a hybrid battle waged simultaneously on the ground, in the financial sector, and in cyberspace. Coordination between the FBI, DEA, Texas Police, and Border Patrol demonstrated how military precision can dismantle organized crime when traditional police methods are no longer sufficient. However, behind every arrest and every kilogram seized lay a deeper truth. The criminal industry was evolving faster than the systems designed to stop it. Data showed that despite the massive attack, the network had already begun to recover. Backup teams in neighboring states activated sleeper cells. Financial flows were being rerouted through new offshore accounts, and most alarmingly, intercepted communications indicated that some victims had already been relocated to new locations before the raid. Nevertheless, the operation dealt a blow from which the network will not quickly recover. 20 key figures are behind bars. 31 people have been released. Hundreds of pounds of drugs have been seized. And most importantly, a system that turned human vulnerability into a commodity has been exposed. Texas proved that modern crime requires modern methods. But the question remained, would a single blow be enough to stop a machine built on suffering and greed? Or was this just the first chapter in a long war against an enemy that wears no uniform but operates with the precision of an army? The battle for the streets of Texas has been won. But the war is just beginning.
At dawn on October 23rd, federal agents launched the largest anti-cartel operation in a decade.
A network spanning 8 cities controlled narcotics worth more than $3 billion a year. After 18 months of surveillance, the FBI mapped every link in their chain. And last night...
At dawn, federal agents launched the largest operation against drug syndicates in a decade. The automatic license plate recognition system detected the car on a toll road. The order was simple: stop immediately, without giving anyone time to warn their accomplices.
everyone who works in the United States, they have to fill one of those out. And we're going to ask for supporting documents that will aid in our investigation to determine whether they have.
He was telling him he was out of town.
I'm so confused.
Right now, the Homeland Security investigations getting in, going after targets identified.
You want to call him? You want to make a call for him?
Vignette that we just had here, the FBI came in, secured the site, and enabled us to walk through some sources of digital evidence and where to find them. Mobile device forensics, basic malware analysis, and the forensic value of QAS.
these occur as a result of strong partnerships. Criminal organizations that use open seas.
So hard to make this operation a success.
Bags out! Bags out! Bags out! Come on the house! Sheriff's office! Come on the house! Sheriff's office! Sheriff's warrant!
You got one for
Más personas aquí en la casa.
SWAT coming in the front door.
This is where they were loading. There's nothing else in that side?
No, not that we saw.
Where did it go, huh?
Quédate, no toma. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a good load.
Like I said, we have pictures in the, because I teach the NARC class to the rookies and stuff.
Allen. We're getting out at the northeast corner. Move.
tonight, a joint federal task force has carried out coordinated raids in more than a dozen cities, arresting dozens of suspects.
The individuals are accused of running a nationwide criminal network that moved money, data, and contraband across state lines.
Every suspect played a part in the organization.
Night in Colombia. Columns of police cars are rushing through the dark streets at full speed. Flashing lights cut through the darkness with red and blue flashes. This is no ordinary raid. This is the finale of a 3-month investigation into an international drug network. A joint task force of the FBI, DEA, and Colombian Special Forces took up positions around a suspicious object in the suburbs of Medellin. Intelligence spent 3 months tracking suspicious cargo flows, financial transactions through offshore companies, and encrypted messages. All the threads led to this house. Operators rush inside. Stun grenades illuminate the corridors with blinding flashes. Shouts of "Police! On the floor! Hands behind your head!" echo through the building. One by one, the cartel members fall to the floor with their hands behind their heads. The agents handcuff them, tightening the plastic zip ties around their wrists. Their faces are pressed against the hoods of cars, while other agents search their pockets. Phones, flash drives, wads of cash dollars. Each person arrested receives a number. Portable scanners read fingerprints on the spot. The database starts producing matches. These people are already in the system. 3 were killed in a shootout. The rest are led outside to waiting armored cars. A group of police officers detained the guy, and he provided them with documents that showed that he was here by coincidence. After checking, they realized that he had nothing to do with their business and released him. The body cam catches a sharp turn. The patrol goes out to intercept. The oncoming car tries to go to the right, but runs into a cordon. The doors swing open. The commands are short and harsh. The first handcuffs snap into place, a mid-level courier. On the seat is a bag with a sealed briquette and a pack of disposable phones. The patrolmen got out of the cars at the same time. Red flashes cut the night. "Stop! Hands up!" The warning sounded twice, but the suspect rushed towards the parking lot, jumped over a low fence, and tried to hide between the cars. His breathing and the jingling of keys can be heard faintly. The officers keep their distance. One covers, the other reports on the radio. The object is from the list of those involved in the cartel, possible weapons. The man turns sharply, reaches for his waist. The metal flashed in the light of the headlights. A final "don't move" is sounded, after which the officers fire control shots, short, aimed shots, to stop the threat. The suspect falls, throws the weapon aside. The group converges under cover. One fixes the hands with clamps. The other puts the gun in a bag. For small bags, medics are called immediately. The perimeter is blocked. On the hood, the time of detention is indicated. In the protocol, warning, resistance, and legal use of fire during the arrest of a drug cartel member. In the morning, law enforcement officers received a call about a suspect who could be involved in a drug cartel. The patrol quickly went to the place, blocked the man's car, and detained him for further verification of his identity and possible connections. In the evening, the group arrived at a 1-story house. When the woman knocked, she came out on her own with her hands raised. Pupils are dilated, speech is confused, clear signs of drug intoxication. According to neighbors, at night she threatened her husband with a knife. He does not cooperate with the cartel owners. The operatives seized the blade and the man was taken to a safe area. The woman was detained and handed over to doctors. In the evening, operatives detained an elderly man nicknamed Hotabich, the father of one of the already arrested defendants. While fixing his hands, he suddenly tensed up and complained of pain and dizziness. The crew immediately called paramedics and took him to the nearest hospital. After stabilizing the condition, the doctors cleared the investigator. The interrogation was conducted in the presence of a cardiologist and a lawyer. Hotabich confirmed that he knew about the scheme. but only transferred the packages at the request of his son. The patrol cars sped through the empty streets. Sirens sounded in the silence, illuminating everything around with red and blue light. The radio crackled. The dispatcher repeated the address. The suspect had been spotted near the industrial zone. The film crew was already on site. The reporter was holding a microphone. Beacons were flashing behind her. According to preliminary data, the armed man fled into the territory of the old plant. The area is blocked off. Special forces are expected to arrive, she said into the frame. A few minutes later, a special forces column approached the plant silence, only the sound of footsteps on concrete. The soldiers dispersed at the gate, checked communications, and turned on their laser sights. The commander whispered into the radio, "Alpha Group, ready in 1 minute. On signal, entry." At this time, the FSB group went to arrest the person using the coordinates received. 2 armored SUVs were in front. The third was covering from behind. The plan was clear. Interception at the entrance, blocking the staircases and elevator, quick assault without noise. During an inspection, hundreds of kilograms of drugs were discovered on board the government ship, hidden in containers disguised as industrial cargo. The bags containing the substance were hermetically sealed. The crew was interrogated, 2 were detained, and the Coast Guard took control of the ship. Each of those on board the ship was sentenced to up to 10 years of imprisonment without the possibility of leaving early. 5000/5000 night. Red-blue reflections of sirens fall on the wet asphalt. The camera does not move away from one thing. Hands on the back of the head, a face pressed to the hood, short commands. "Stop! Don't move!" The first scene is a stop at a roadside motel. A man in a dark jacket, his hair is tousled, his breathing is labored. They pulled him out of the car, opened the trunk. Inside were 3 sports bags, the smell of chemicals, sealed bags without markings. What he was detained for was transportation of drugs on an especially large scale. No unnecessary words, just a sharp fixation of the hands, a bag over the head, and the slam of the car door next frame. The narrow staircase of an old house, a loud knock on the door, then the crash of a battering ram. The woman screams, but opens it herself, hands up in a robe. There are 3 telephones on the table, scales, powder crumbs on the windowsill. The protocol will later write, suspected of packaging and distributing psychotropic substances. They take her out barefoot. It's dawn outside the window. Private yard. There are 2 operatives at the gate. The third is holding a walkie-talkie. The man comes out with his hands raised. "Are you Sergei Ivanov?" A short nod. They put him against the wall and handcuff him. Why? Organizing a sales network, transferring wholesale quantities to couriers. The camera captures his eyes. They are empty, as if he knew all this in advance. A woman in her 30s is detained in an underground parking lot. She gets into the car, but the door is immediately blocked. In the back seat, there is a bag of documents, flash drives, and a phone without a SIM card. For what? Financial assistance to a criminal group, money laundering. She doesn't resist. She just asks, "Can I call the child?" In silence. Next is a young guy, thin, wearing a hoodie. He was picked up at the bus stop. There are dozens of packages in the backpack. He tries to explain that he was just passing it on, but an officer is standing next to him with a tablet. Photographs, correspondence, geolocations. Everything is confirmed. For what? Transportation and storage of drugs. Participation in a criminal chain. The next shot is the accounting office. Woman with glasses, paper, print. A group comes in and presents a warrant. She doesn't resist. She just removes her hands from the table. Why? Registration of fictitious companies, transfer of money for supplies to other countries, a table with sums hung on the monitor screen. A security guard is hired in the courtyard of a nightclub. They lay him on the ground. The lantern shines directly into his face. For what? covering up operations for selling the substance inside the establishment, participating in coordination. In the wardrobe, behind the wall, they find a cache of packages. The noise of the music can still be heard, but forensic scientists are already working there. The next episode is a car wash on the outskirts. A man in overalls holds a sponge but does not have time to take off his gloves. It is fixed against the wall. In the workshop, they find equipment for upholstering cars, metal sheets with packages hidden inside for what? Making hiding places, facilitating smuggling. A teenager is detained on the roof of an old building. He tried to climb onto the neighboring house, but did not have time. They take him without force, carefully. There is a flash drive in my pocket, with addresses and passwords on it. For what? IT support for the cartel, encryption of correspondence, creation of fake accounts. There is fear and confusion on the face. An elderly man, known by the nickname Hotobich, is detained at the market. He is the father of one of the organizers. When fixed, he becomes ill. Doctors are nearby. He will be questioned later at the hospital. For what? Transfer of information, mediation, concealment of the sun. The frame changes. In an apartment on the outskirts, there is a man with a child. The soldiers rush in and put him against the wall. There is a bag of bills in the kitchen, a laptop with an open mailbox on the floor. For what? Collecting and transferring money from small dealers, keeping records of deliveries. A neighbor carries the child out in her arms. Next, on the highway, the truck stops. The driver comes out and holds the documents. The dog barks. The signal is there is a smell. Briquettes are found under the trailer floor. For what? Transportation of drugs, cooperation with the organizers of deliveries. He is placed face down on the ground. His hands are fixed, and the camera shows the load mark. The next shot is a small pharmacy. Behind the counter is a woman, a doctor's coat, tired eyes. She is taken straight from her workplace. At the checkout, there are prescriptions issued for non-existent people. For what? Participation in the illegal sale of drugs, fictitious prescriptions. Transition. Entrance of an elite house. A man in a suit, a briefcase in his hand. 3 people in bulletproof vests surround him. On a flash drive found later are documents with offshore accounts. For what? Cartel money laundering through law firms. He is silent as he is led to the car. A guy with a guitar case is detained in the parking lot. There are no tools inside, but thick bags. For what? Transporting drugs under the guise of creative activity. He screams, makes excuses, but it's too late. There is a taxi driver in the schoolyard. He is taken when he drops off a passenger. In the trunk, there are replaceable numbers and magnetic frames. For what? Transportation of group members? Delivery logistics. On the front seat is a navigator with marked addresses. Next is the staircase of a high-rise building. Young girl with a phone. They stop her at the door and show her a warrant. The phone contains coordinates of caches and photos of packages. For what? Participation in the storage and cleaning of points. She doesn't cry. He simply asks to give the cat to his mother. The next episode features a convenience store clerk. They take it in the back room. There is a box hidden under flour. Inside there are bags of powder. For what? Organizing illegal trade. The store is sealed. There is a sign on the door. Closed. Square near the station. Crowd. 2 men are sitting on a bench and operatives approach them. One tries to run, but falls. For what? Buying up stolen phones and transferring SIM cards to dealers. The police take the second one too. Money scatters on the asphalt. Entrance of the old hostel. A man with a flask. He is taken out without resistance. Laboratory equipment is found in the basement. For what? Production of precursors. Participation in production. Laundry. A young woman sorts laundry. Under the bag is money. For what? Storage of funds obtained by criminal means. She trembles as the officer handcuffs her. On the roof of the business center is an IT specialist with a laptop. They take it without noise. The computer contains archives of correspondence and anonymization programs. For what? Ensuring the protection of the cartel's communication channels. A man dressed as a minister is detained in the churchyard. In his bag is a list of names and phone numbers. For what? Mediation, cover under a religious organization. Next is underground parking. The woman gets into the car, but the door is blocked. There are documents and contracts on the seat. For what? Fictitious deliveries, participation in money laundering. In the next shot, there is a man in sportswear, a street trainer. There are bags in the gym locker. For what? Distribution among young people. Nightclub, young couple at the bar counter. 2 of them take them at once. There is correspondence on the phone about the sale. For what? Participation in distribution. People around are filming on their phones. Schoolyard. A middle-aged woman, shaking all over, comes out with her hands raised. Her husband is behind the police for what? Attempted assault, participation in forcing a witness to remain silent, traces of a substance in the blood. Next is the parking lot at the supermarket Old Guard. He is asked to show his passes. There are envelopes in the nightstand. For what? Data transfer, cooperation with the cartel. The frame is an indoor market spice merchant. The boxes contain bags of white powder. For what? Undercover trading. He has led past customers. The next episode is a man in a wheelchair. A flash drive is hidden in the armrest. For what? Courier delivery of encrypted data. The last shots are a montage. The detainees are sitting in paddy wagons. Some are silent, some are crying. The voiceover calmly sums it up. Each of them is part of the same chain. Courier, accountant, driver, doctor, security guard, IT specialist. Everyone contributed their share in transportation, storage, cover, or payment. Today their faces are at interrogations. Tomorrow, in court, this is not the finale. This is just the first wave. The camera pans along a corridor of handcuffs, evidence and expressionless faces. End credits.